guys, welcome back to another episode of Evolve. I am your host, Monette Brann-Natta, and I am so happy to be back with you. There's been so much going on over the summer, a lot of movement and traveling and just getting back from Atlanta, so hello to all of my Atlanta friends and family. It was wonderful to get to visit with you guys. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about angel numbers, and that may not be surprising because I always am talking about angel numbers. But what I wanted to do was decanter this angel number idea through another filter. Let's look at it in a different way. Let's look at it through a real-life person and something that I thought was interesting and surprising. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Jayz. Maybe a different topic, maybe an interesting person, maybe someone you're not familiar with. But I think that there's a lesson here, and I love a lesson. So, years ago, the rapper that's now the mogul, Jayz, floated the idea that he would pen a book, and the name of the book was going to be called Decoded. Now, he never did write this book that I am aware of. He did put out like an epilogue or some things like that, but he never really finished that. Maybe that's something that's yet to come. But the premise is that he wanted to translate the experiences of his life and help everyone to understand the choices that he made that led him to inhabit the life he was living, which was far different than the life he started from. He started in the projects, he started in poverty, he started without a father, a single mother. These kinds of things were his reality, and now he's in a different stratosphere, a stratosphere that when you start in that place, you're not often thinking that it's possible to get to the place he's at now. And I've shared with you guys some of my life, and so stories like his, of any variety, of any person, of any ethnicity, touch my spirit, because I realize that anything is possible, and that it is in this way that the universe demonstrates it, and it gets right into our own wheelhouse. And we'll continue to talk more about that. And often, we are, as humans, making judgments about who or what a person is based on very superficial identifiers. So if you're listening and you're familiar with Jayz, you may know him as the rapper mogul and Beyonce's husband. I think it's wonderful that someone's Beyonce's husband instead of the other way around, but you may enjoy his music. You may have never even heard a song outside of his hit with Alicia Keys about New York. You remember that one? That was huge. New York, that one. That was Jayz. So if you're not familiar, you might know a Jayz song and you didn't even realize it. You may have assumed that he's like cleaned up his criminal or thug self. If you've heard some of his lyrics, you thought, maybe this guy isn't such a great guy. But no matter what you know, today we're going to take a different look at this person. Now, it's no secret, here's my disclaimer, I've always been a fan of some of his music. Not the misogynistic overtones or the superficial lyrics about bling and money, but his storytelling. As a writer and a teller of stories, I admire and relate to the way that other people hone their craft, but there is more with him. I've always heard his truth through the smoke and mirrors of some of his songs. I've heard a man struggling to find himself who could, like any of us, get swept away in these moments of great bravado or self-doubt. I've played his music often when I'm working out or working to achieve any goal in my life, because what I've found is that there is a momentum that lifts me and challenges me to believe in myself and push past my circumstances and rise to whatever the occasion is that I'm trying to meet. There's a song called Moment of Clarity that he has, and he says, thank God for granting me this moment of clarity, this moment of honesty, because he's, I think, acknowledging that he understands that there's something going on deeper. And I know that that doesn't sound like a lyric that a rapper that you might have just heard was just a rapper, maybe a gangster rapper, which he was not necessarily a gangster rapper, but a rapper is having, thank God of granting me this moment of clarity, this moment of honesty. And I remember walking over the causeway in Melbourne, Florida, and getting to the apex of the bridge and feeling triumphant and I'm listening to that in my ear. And that's the power of music on any level, but that's something that comes to my mind, is because I'm able to clearly think, and I'm listening to him express his clear thinking, and I'm saying, I can reach this goal, whatever it is. And so that's one way, positively, that I wanted to give an example. So his music has been definitely inspirational to me. Another one, just an aside, is Don't Stop Believing by Journey. That's a huge motivational song. So that's what I mean. So whatever your music is, wherever it's coming from, we know that these musicians and artists are flawed, but they're often bringing these incredible vignettes into life, and they're helping us to see past ourselves and into a place that we might want to be. Not every song is that transcendent, but there are some, and I think we all have them, no matter what the genre. But it wasn't until his latest album release, which is the release of 444, that my long-held suspicions that there was way more going on beneath the surface with this man, which got me to thinking about how our angels, again, are always communicating with us, which, like I said, I'm always thinking about. What specifically I'm thinking about is how amazed and in awe I am that no single person is exempt, that God, universe, source, whatever name you want to give it, is so detailed, so specific, that if you're seeking at all, you will be met right where you are. So whether you're flawed or striving to be Mother Teresa, God meets you and guides you to your best, highest, evolved self if you're seeking. That's that kind of adage in the Bible, seek and you shall find. It is literally true. You just have to ask. You just have to be in desire. And you would be surprised at the things that magnetize to you. God meets you and guides you to your best and highest evolved self. And I feel like I've cracked the code. I feel like I finally have concrete evidence that this person has been in his own communications and journey via angel numbers, and that's what we're going to explore today. So there's been a great deal of chatter over the last few weeks about the new Jayz album. And I remember seeing the number flash across my screen in the days prior to the launch. Now, working with angel numbers, I was familiar with what was being said, 444. We're going to talk about that so you understand what was being said as well. I, of course, have my opinions on the album. But what got me was that 444. I thought, what an odd thing to name an album. Now, albums are named any kind of thing. Artists have creative license, and we've heard of all kinds of interesting names. But this is the first time that the album that it caught my attention was an angel number. I thought, that's very deliberate. I thought there's a bigger thing going on here. I thought, what is this about? And I was interested to hear his explanation of it, to see if he understood that he was connected. And I'm excited to share this with you because I think he does. And it is evidence to me, again, that we all are in so many ways. So, my opinions on the album, not that you're asking, but I'm telling, I think it's introspective. I think it's brilliantly marketed. His wife just wrote an album called Lemonade, talking about their marriage. This is in some ways a response and an admission and a vulnerable side of him where he's dealing with the reality of whatever infidelities and things that may have happened. So that's what I mean by brilliant marketing. That definitely happened. And it's introspective. And it solidifies this man in the annals of history. And that last bit about the annals of history is just not my opinion. Jayz literally just made history as the first rapper to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So I'm not just talking about like somebody that you will never know who they are. This person will be talked about forever. And I think he's understood that there's a legacy. In fact, there's actually a song on the album called Legacy, but that's in regards to his daughter and children and what he leaves behind and what his responsibility to the black community is. Not a light subject matter, not something you would think that a rapper is going to be talking about when you think of stereotypical rappers. There are very lofty ideas here about savings and earnings and squandering money and credit and how do you get it and why we're wasting things and being very superficial. And I know you think easy for him to say he's very rich, easy for him to say, but still he's saying it. And it's not the popular opinion. And that lets me know he's on his path. And it lets me know that he's taken umbrage with himself in the past. And we'll get into that in a minute. So, yeah, Do I like the album? Sure. All of that's there because I think it's probably the most evolved that we've seen him. But again, when I see this kind of growth with any artist from any genre, I know there's a greater force at work, and that their own will and ego is not the main driver. I know that they're being led and allowing the muse to flow through them. I say this because as an artist, you're not able to create on demand. You might think you are, and if you have a book deal or you have an art show, you think, I've got to produce. But there's inspiration that comes, and concepts that float by you or they float through you. I call them downloads, various thought patterns, ideas, and notions. Downloads, and they're gifted to you when you submit yourself to the work. But that's another show. So I want to take a minute and talk about a line that he says in one of his songs, and I feel like it's been overlooked by some of the people that have been reviewing the album. I've been waiting for someone to cotton on to it, but no one really has. He says he's giving you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. Now, he also is very famous for saying double entendre, don't ask me how, in one of his lyrics, meaning he says a few things at once by saying one thing, and then it means multiple things. So that's what he's saying there. And I've heard many folks on YouTube or various talking head sites repeating that line about, I'm giving you $1 million worth of a game for $9.99, but I haven't heard anyone really get what I think he was trying to convey. His title streaming service, so let's get basic here. His title streaming service starts at $9.99. He's just recently, in the past couple of years, bought a service of music streaming. And it goes up to $19.99. Now, I personally have Tidal, and I see that $9.99 coming out of my account every month. Thank you, Jayz. So I'm very familiar with the pricing. But when he says that he's trying to give you game for $9.99, what he's saying is that he's not only trying to make you aware of what's going on in the music industry or put you onto new music that is fresh and exclusive, but he's trying to teach people about a multi-family, multi-level game where you, one, buy and support black-owned business, or two, I want to be honest here, he's shamelessly promoting that he wants you to subscribe to his service because he wants to make money. I get that. And three, he feels that if you subscribe, you will be opening your mind to a different flow or stream of consciousness, not just in the beats of the music, but on the vibrational level that you're connecting with the idea that there is more to life than being owned. I know that may be a stretch for some of you listening. There's more to life than being owned. There's ownership. And it's really interesting to me that he's often trying to convey that, because in the black community, this is a new shifting concept. We all know our history, we know what we come from. So there's more to life than being owned. There's ownership. It's only in my lifetime that I've seen the billionaire black iconoclast become a reality. It's never happened before in life, in history that we know. There are kings and queens, and we know where we come from if we're talking about where we come from as a black community. However, this is a bigger thing. This is a reality that's manifesting in front of our face. There are many celebrities and many people, thought changers and provocateurs, that are becoming part of an iconoclast for a certain minority group that has never been a possibility. That is evidence to me of something shifting. That is evidence to me of vibrational alignment. Again, that's another show. But there's another layer here to this angel number 999. What he says, I'm giving you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. Now, we've just gone through all the basic things it can mean. Buy my service. I want you to subscribe because I want to make more money. Understand that if you're subscribing to me, I'm a black person and you're supporting black-owned business. If he's saying that to the black community, which some of his music is aimed at, but however, let's be honest here, hip-hop, rap, all that stuff is universal. Worldwide, every country, every language, every color. It has really crossed over in a major way over the last 20 years. It is if you watch a Geico commercial, they're rapping. I want you to understand how pervasive this is. So this isn't just something that's for some subsect or subculture of a society. This is our way of existing, way of living, okay? In many ways. If you pay attention to subtle nuances,